Let's talk about it with Michael Gottlieb in Fort Lauderdale, Melissa Pingleton in Nashville. Melissa is a retired police sergeant. Michael is a defense attorney. Michael, the first couple questions there, just, is this machismo, showing the photo of the dead baby and then the dead Griselda with 27 stab wounds? What did you think of that?
So I thought it was a very effective cross-examination, where it started and where it ended. But this witness, the defense could possibly clean it up on direct examination. This witness isn't there really to talk about this individual or the crime that was committed. He's there really to talk about the culture of being a law enforcement officer, how hard it is, that they're essentially sowing the seeds for a post-traumatic stress disorder type of mitigation here, and saying that his job is so difficult and it wears on you, and therefore when he was confronted by her, this kind of gives an excuse for his actions. At the same point in time, I think the cross-examination did a great job of rehashing how brutal this murder was, that he cut the jugular of his 18-month-old child and murdered the mom in order to get out of paying child support. So I don't think that it has been effective mitigation thus far.
And Melissa, the last question too, how many Border Patrol agents are there? How many of them are murderers? Again, bringing that back to the jury of saying, yeah, he was part of this group, but he's not like most of them. Is it offensive to you as a former law enforcement member of law enforcement for them to make that connection that this is such a stressful job that you could kill people?
Yeah, it's offensive in that to imply that just because of the nature and the stress of the job that they turn to it. I understand why it's being asked in court and it's part of the case, so that doesn't bother me at all. His attorneys are trying to bolster his defense, but it's not effective at all, and it's just. And I feel like the jury's going to see through it. And back to the testosterone thing, by the way, are there some officers that are on what we call the juice? Yeah, there are, but it is not this prevalent thing everywhere. We are subjected to drug testing frequently, so a lot of that would get caught up in the drug testing. But no, I'm not offended by the questioning. I'm offended by this particular man who went and did this, because it just sheds a bad light on all of us. But I think you can see he's a different type of. He's a different bird. He is. He's not your typical law enforcement. He's not even your typical person in society. Just his whole demeanor, he has this very sociopathic demeanor to him with no empathy. And so I think a lot of that is coming through and is not associated with law enforcement at all.
Michael, is there any scenario you would see that the defense throws him up on the witness stand here in the penalty phase?
I have to agree with Melissa, is that he really doesn't seem sympathetic. His attitude, his demeanor in court, the way he's leaning on his arm, the way you can see his full sleeve, what appears to be a full sleeve tattoo. He would have to be, 180 degrees different than what's appearing in court here. He really just doesn't seem sorry, remorseful, sympathetic. So I don't know if that's what he's going to project when he takes a witness stand. I would not put him on. If he's going to project something completely different and apologize, then perhaps I would put him on to save his life.
What about his parents? They're there. Where would you take this, Michael, if you're the defense at this point in the equation? How could you save his life?
You really have to show, and they are sowing the seeds of, here's a guy who's getting it from all ends. He's, because of his job, he sought respite in the arms of another woman, so he's got this extramarital affair going, and then he tried to distance himself from that, so he's got his job priorities that are weighing him down. He's got his family life that's weighing him down. And now this woman who he really didn't want to have a relationship with any longer and didn't want to have a relationship with the child is coming back in his life, suing him for child support and wanting him to help her pay for school. It's too much. It's too much of a stressor. And he lost his mind. And I think that's really where they're going. You may find sympathy in a few jurors in order to make this not a death verdict.
So you do that in close, or who tells that story if he can't? If he can't get up there and pull it off, you just do it in the close?
That's the art of being a criminal defense attorney, is you have to do it through anecdotes, which they're doing. They're doing an anecdotal story through this anthropologist where he's talking about this guy is one of a fraternity of law enforcement officers and this is the way they behave. Except that the prosecution said there's a small group that behave aberrantly like he did. So you then have to connect those dots with other witnesses who can talk about the stressors and the pressures that he had in life and sort of give a rationale as to why he acted in the manner that he did.
Okay, let's get a break and we'll watch what they do on the redirect to try to rehab the good professor right after this.